Hello and welcome back to the GB Fantasy Football channel. In today's video, I'm going to be saying my final thoughts ahead of the Gameweek 8 deadline. Yes, it is fast approaching and thankfully the international break has finally gone. Now, if you could leave a subscribe on the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Over 80% of you viewers are yet to subscribe to the channel, so go ahead, it's completely free. Hit the button down below. We're on the road to 1,300 subscribers. Also, while you're down there, hit a thumbs up. For each Sun Dream Team video, the target is 100, so that'd be greatly appreciated. And hit the bell notification as well, so you don't miss an upload in your sub box. And without further ado, let's crack on with the video. Today's video is going to be a slightly shorter one than the normal 40 to 50-minute content. I know a few of you on the channel do prefer the shorter format, so this is more for you, but still plenty to cover over the course of this video. We've got an injury update on potentially a huge transfer in this week. We've got potential chip usage as well. Is it good to use them? Is it not? Are there better game weeks ahead? And my own transfer potential plans ahead of the Gameweek 8 deadline. Now, as always, in all my Sun Dream Team videos, the code for my league is down below in the description. Go join it, over 450 users on the league. If you are in the top 10, when I do make the videos normally midweek between the Premier League and European fixtures, you will feature in a video. So if that's something that you want to do, go ahead, go join, it's completely free. Also, while you're down in the description below, do go check out my socials. All good stuff happening over there. Now, the first thing that we're going to discuss on today's video is Enzo Fernandez of Chelsea. Now, always in my final thoughts, there's generally a big injury update. It was Cole Palmer in the previous week, so it looks like Chelsea are coming under the cosh a little bit when it comes to injury hits. Now, Enzo Fernandez, a lot of his teammates this week have had a couple of weeks off. Moises Caicedo didn't go away on international duty, and neither did João Pedro. But Enzo Fernandez, I believe he played the first game for Argentina, got brought up with about 15-20 minutes to go, somewhere in that time region, and he didn't play the second game. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about it. He's got a potential injury to his knee. They think it's bruising and swelling around the right kneecap. He's been pictured in training with strapping and support around that knee. Now, I have read up about it a little bit on other articles, and it does seem like he's been training with this strapping of sorts around his knee for quite some time. It's nothing new on that front, but it does look like there's a niggling injury lurking with intent under his body. Going forward, is he going to be reliable? Of course, he did play in Chelsea's Carabao Cup third round game, so he's not really having rest for his club. He's playing most games, and with Cole Palmer's injury not looking like it's going to be cleaning up anytime soon, a lot of people will be looking to get him in this week with the potential of him playing in that number 10 role for Chelsea. Now, will he play both games? I've seen conflicting reports that this injury is a minor one. They're just managing it. He was always scheduled to miss the second game for Argentina and come back early, similar to the other South American players. But I've seen other reports say he could potentially be on the bench for Chelsea for the Forest fixture this weekend and then play the Champions League game in midweek. So it's all eyes towards Maresca's press conference on Friday. Hopefully, it will give us a positive update and a truthful update. Of course, in these manager press conferences, they are quite prone to the partial lie every now and again, or more covering the truth, I should say. So hopefully on that front, we get a positive update. And for those of you who are plumping for him this week and potentially putting him into your teams with a maybe 0.1 rise as well, ahead of some good game weeks and playing in that number 10 role all of a sudden, it might be beneficial for you. A few more injury updates going into Gameweek 8 as well. There's a reputable source on X, I think it's Hand of Arsenal, formerly Hand of Ozil, a very well-known Arsenal, I won't say correspondent, but he's definitely someone in the know when it comes to Arsenal news. And there's been reports that Kai Havertz is well ahead of his recovery time. So for those of you who have got Victor Gyökeres, I expect a few minutes to be taken away from him in the near future. And also a potential positive update on Noni Madueke as well. He picked up an injury a couple of weeks back. I think they was playing Forest at the time, taken off at half time. There was worries it was going to be an ACL injury that was put away very quickly, and it was 8 weeks to 2 months he was potentially out for. But there was a repost of his injury, and that, well, it's led me to believe that Noni Madueke will be ahead of schedule. Whether that's in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we don't know, but he is definitely on the horizon. So for Victor Gyökeres minutes, Kai Havertz will affect them. And also, Noni Madueke slowly coming back. I think he will play on the right hand side when he comes back rather than the left. It looks like Trossard, Martinelli, Eze over on that left hand side have very much got the minutes. Madueke has played on the left so far this season, but he's not the most effective over there. So for those of you who have gone for Bukayo Saka, I was looking at him this week. I was looking at him the previous week. I can't quite get there budget-wise, unfortunately. But it does look like with Madueke coming back potentially over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, whether it's before the international break, we're still yet to know. But he's ahead of schedule, and Saka's minutes could be hit in the next few game weeks. Chip usage is always a divisive thing to talk about in the Sun Dream Team community. Of course, there is no set way to play your chips. It's always when you're feeling it, is your squad in the best possible place to play those chips? And is your strategy and tactics lined up for potentially using your chips in either an attacking or defensive manner? I'll get a lot of questions asked in the comment down below on pretty much most videos when to play a chip, when not to play a chip. As I said, it is all up to the user's team, but I can always help out, guiding with a bit of helpful information along the way. Now, personally, going into Game Week 8, I have yet to play any of my big chips. I've not played 12th Man, I've not played Max Captain, and I've not played my Goal Booster as of yet. And I think for the substitution chips, I've either played 2 or 3 of them. I think it's 2, but potentially 3. When Cole Palmer had his injuries towards the start of the season, and I used one on Saar of Tottenham at one stage as well, bringing in Jeremy Doku for his single against Arsenal, and he didn't end up playing in the Carabao Cup third round game that was. So I've still got the big hitter chips. Going into Game Week 8, 12th man. Personally, I feel like it's a great route if you're potentially changing your squad structure around. Now, I've seen a few people. I think Scott from the Sun Dream Team Professor YouTube channel, he has gone for potentially a Salah out route this week and 12th man him in. I think that's a great route. It keeps you from losing your 0.2 decrease in price, and it allows you to restructure your squads. Now, if you're like me, I started the season off with a very, very cheap defence. I had Coyote, I had Sells, I had a couple of other bits and pieces. I had the left back Juve from West Ham, but the structure consisted of a lot of money in attack and midfield with not a lot of money in defence. Now, as the first few game weeks progressed, those players in defence really weren't cutting the mustard and wasn't getting the points to price that I wanted to when we kicked off the campaign. Slowly about to put a few more millions in defence. Gabriel, Munoz, and I had Chalabar at one stage as well. He got sent off, scored an own goal, so his time ran out on the team. But I've had to restructure my squad over the game weeks, and selling Salah could potentially be the best route for some of your squads as well. Would I be selling Salah and not 12th manning him in this week in Game Week 8? Personally, no. I think that 7 million price, maybe 6.8 after the price decrease this week as well. But it's Mohamed Salah. I've got to give him as long as possible. Also, the potential for him to play in Game Week 9 in that Carabao Cup double with the Premier League, I think is a high chance. Liverpool, they've not been great recently against Crystal Palace. They lost to them in the Community Shield. They lost to them in the league, of course, a few weeks back 2-1 with the late Eddie Nketiah goal. So I do think that Liverpool will go strong in that Carabao Cup game. And I actually think Salah might be one of the best captain choices for Game Week 9. So bearing that in mind, he's got the Champions League game this week. He's got the Premier League fixture as well, and a potential double in Game Week 9 where he will play. In my opinion, he'll certainly get minutes in both games. I think you've just got to keep him unless you are 12th man in him in. If you've got short-term plans and long-term plans based around getting him back in for Game Week 11 onwards, I think that is also a solid play as well. There are other options for 12 man, of course. It doesn't have to necessarily be Mohamed Salah if you're transferring him out. There's a few other options. I always like to 12th man in a slightly more expensive option. If you're transferring in a player in that 3 to 5 million range for a 12th man, it doesn't quite seem as though you're getting best value for money. Last season, I was 12th manned in Cole Palmer. He only played in one fixture, unfortunately, but at the time, it felt like I was getting a lot more bang for my buck. Max Captain, very viable option in Game Week 8, of course. You've got a European double, you've got the Premier League double. Personally, I would keep it for a domestic double where you've got the Premier League and a domestic cup, whether that be Carabao Cup or FA Cup third round when that comes around in January. There's a lot more unpredictability with lineups with those teams when we go into those competitions. We're always expecting more rotation. we certainly are in game week. Sorry, in the Carabao Cup fourth round and the FA Cup third round in January. Last season, I played my max captain in the third round for the FA Cup. Did very well. Trent Alexander-Arnold scored very highly in that one. Picked up a clean sheet. I forgot who it was against going into that one, but it was a lower league side. Came off bang on 60 minutes, luckily for me at the time. But I would feel that is the best opportunity to play the max captain. Of course, we only get these chips once a season, so to get the most out of them is exactly what we're looking for. And the goal boost, to me, this is always the trickiest one. I've seen quite a few people play the goal boost, and I think it was game week 6 that was, where Haaland scored 4 across the double game week. And of course, many of you would have captained him as well, so you got double points on that captaincy chip. If you picked up a few more goals elsewhere throughout your squad, it really would have been a very productive goal boost. I'm going to save the goal boost for when our teams are looking a lot better. When we've got Cole Palmer, when we've got Saka, when we've got Salah, when we've got Haaland, maybe even an Isak along the way as well. When we've got these premium priced assets all fit and firing for their squads, of course, Mohamed Salah and the Liverpool lads are stuttering a little bit. Arsenal's attacking wise, Gyökeres is blank for many a game week now. It's only really Erling Haaland in the attacking sense that's been pushing the points. Now, if you look at the data, he's first for attackers on about 125, 130 points, and second in that list is actually Mohamed Salah, surprisingly, but he's only got between 50 and I think it's 65 points, which is a massive drop off. So is that Salah underperforming? Yes, but it's also combined with Erling Haaland going astronomical with his returns recently. So for me, goal boost, if your team's set up, fire it away for game week 8. But personally, I will be keeping my goal boost back for when all the big hitters are in our teams and looking like form is very much on the forefront of their mind and the teams are doing well. Wrap up this video, a few transfer plans for me ahead of the game week 8 deadline. We've had 2 weeks to ponder our thoughts, tinker throughout the squads. I've been putting players in, chopping and changing, trying to eke out as much value as I can from my budget that I've got. It's about 54, 55 million in that ballpark range. It's gone up quite a lot in the last 2 to 3 game weeks. Prior to that, I was always scrapping around. We had the early round of the Carabao Cup. A few of my players didn't play and it did hurt their value overall. So to see the budget slowly creep up is a very nice thing to see, especially with maybe Saka coming into the fold again after his injury troubles. Palmer, he will be around at some stage, I'm sure. And Salah is the big will he, won't he kickstart his season. But for my team, I've only got one single game week player going into game week 8, and that is Matt Sells. Sorry, not Matt Sells. That is Royce in goal. Jumped the gun a little bit there. Royce has been an incredible asset for me. I brought him at 2 million at the start of game week 1 for my first draft of the season. He's crept up to 3 million in value. He's either the second or third highest point scorer for goalkeepers in this game so far this season. He's outperformed anything I could have ever expected from him. That 1 million rise in price, very much welcome. So I could potentially be moving him on this week too, as I just previously mentioned. Matt Sells, or you've got Dean Henderson in the Palace goal. Donnarumma, as I spoke about in my big differentials video earlier this week. I can't quite get up to the Raya range. Doubling up on the Arsenal defence might be something to note going forward, especially with their data being so good. Mamardashvili, have I pronounced that right? Comment down below, Liverpool fans, if that's not how you pronounce it. Mamardashvili in the Liverpool goal will be a short-term solution potentially from the start of this game week 8 until the next international break in, I think it's game week 11. We've got game week 8, game week 9, game week 10, a single in game week 11, and then we're off to our third international break so far this season. Aren't you excited, everyone? But Mamardashvili, Alisson's injury, we don't quite know the extent of it yet. He is going to be missing until at least that international break, so it's a short-term solution. He is an option. There's a few others knocking about, of course. We've got, as I said, Matt Sells at Forest. They're not very good defensively at the minute, but for his price range, if you get in between 4 to 8 points in a double game week, and that allows you to get points elsewhere, could that be the solution? Or is the solution just to keep Royce for Wolves at home, which is a very good single game week? Could he go off this week and get a 10 plus pointer like he has many times this season? I think he could, so that's putting doubts in my mind. My defence and midfield are looking very strong in the short term and long term. I've got Gabriel and Munoz at the back, both scoring well. Gabriel always a threat from corners, and Munoz Very attacking as always in that Palace side, basically playing as a right winger with Ismail Assar just tucking in slightly. We've seen against Everton, Munoz getting the goal. He got the goal in the Conference League as well, so he's scored in back-to-back games now. 5.6 million, potentially going up. A lot of money to invest into the defence, but whilst they're scoring as well as they are, I can look the other way with regards to putting the budget in that area of the pitch. Midfield wise, got a lot of reliability. Elliot Anderson ticking along nicely. Anthony Gordon missed out on the points last week, coming off early before the penalty was taken. I think I spoke about in the Dream Team Tonic podcast when I was a guest on there a couple of weeks back. Reliability is key in our Sun Dream teams. We don't want players that are going to be ticking over. Sorry, we want players that are going to be ticking over and not players that we're constantly looking at lineups going, are they playing? Are they not playing? Perhaps are potentially a issue for me going forward. I thought he would start the last game week, the single away to Leeds. He was on the bench. He came off, picked up 2 points, getting 1 point for the appearance and 1 point for a couple of tackles. He's been very in and out of that Tottenham team, but he's been saved a few times by coming on, getting an assist, getting a return of sorts, and it's kind of papered over the cracks. So he is definitely one to look at going forward. And of course, up front, Salah and Haaland. Salah on a lot of people's discussions, and mine included. I think I'll keep him for game week 8. If he doesn't do anything in game week 8, I might actually keep him for game week 9 because, as I spoke about, he is one of the best captaincy choices in my eyes for game week 9. And to go without him, and he plays both games, it could be very detrimental to the rank. But when to pull the plug on Salah and put the funds elsewhere, that's one of the big discussions going forward. No other attackers have really stepped up over the course of the season so far. As I said, Salah is the second highest attacker scorer so far, which did come as a big surprise to me. A lot of big teams this summer just gone, invested heavily into their attacks. Isak and Ekitike at Liverpool, Gyökeres at Arsenal. Of course, Chelsea invested in Liam Delap and João Pedro. So things aren't quite clicking for those teams as of yet, but I'm sure when they all get into their groove, we'll be scrambling to get a few more attacking assets in rather than looking at potentially playing a 5-4-1 or a 4-5-1 with just Erling Haaland up front. Hopefully players, as I said, like Isak and Gyökeres do come good form-wise. I think a few of us might have been looking at Gyökeres if he did take the penalty off Saka in the previous game week at home to West Ham, but that wasn't meant to be, and that's put more doubt in our minds. And for that price range, we don't need doubt. We want reliability, we want lots of avenues to points, and we want double-digit point hauls coming every game if that's possible. They are my game week 8 transfer thoughts so far. So that does indeed conclude today's video. Still quite a bit up in the air. For reference, this video has been recorded on Thursday afternoon, so we haven't quite got the press conferences from Friday afternoon. A lot of the European teams tend to have theirs on that kind of day, unfortunately. I think the only ones that I've seen so far is Alderete of Sunderland potentially playing, potentially not. So we didn't really get much information from that, unfortunately. But they are my final thoughts ahead of game week 8. I'm very happy that the international break is behind us now. We're back into club football for 3 to 4 game weeks at least, and then the final international break where we can look at our teams and just concentrate on fantasy football going forward. If you have liked today's video, do drop a subscribe on the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Hit that thumbs up. 100 is the target, as I mentioned at the start of the video, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss an upload. Go check out all my socials in the description down below. We're nearly at 500 on X, 500 followers, that is. Instagram and TikTok. Go check them out. Plenty of good stuff over there. And that does conclude today's video, I'm afraid. So thank you very much for watching, and you'll be seeing me in a new video very soon.